Hi, everyone, and welcome to the product roadmap presentation for Postgres Vision 2020 from EDB. My name is John Murphy, and I'm the SVP of Products at EDB.
And hi, I'm John Dalton. I'm Senior Director of Product Management here at EDB. And I guess with that, we'll jump in. Is there anything else you wanted to say, John?
No, I suppose we should go to the always exciting disclaimer. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So this is our legal counsel's favorite slide of the roadmap deck. And basically we say it's a roadmap, things can change. So with that as context, why don't we get to the roadmap itself? So we like to think about the product in terms of the strategy pillars we have. And those three pillars here are around EDB's enterprise-ready products, being developer-focused and multi-cloud friendly. So when we're talking about enterprise-ready, it's about how we've been working with the PostgreSQL community for the last 16 years with enterprises to bring the capabilities that enterprises need around performance, high availability, security, scalability, and all of the tools that enable that. And in particular, a lot of enterprises are also migrating from Oracle, and we provide tools for that as well as the compatibility to Oracle. So the great stuff that enterprises need. And for developers, we're helping developers move a lot faster. We're working with a lot of the communities that, and in terms of platforms and languages that developers work with, we have a number of different capabilities at both in the tools in terms of UI as well as at the command line that helps speed up development. And of course, for those developers who want to operate in a full open source way, we support the PostgreSQL community distribution. So we offer all support for Postgres here. And then from a multi-cloud perspective, we can deploy in any mode from bare metal to VMs to your private cloud, to public cloud providers. We support all of the major cloud providers, and in particular for those enterprises who have teams for their DBAs, we also can supplement your team with a cloud DBA service so that if you're operating Postgres in the cloud, we can help you be there 24/7 with our team. And of course, orchestrating and managing deployments across the clouds is also a key piece of being multi-cloud friendly. With that, hand back to John.
So rather than just talk about individual products or individual tools, one of the things we wanted to do this year was connect the strategy that EDB has and the things that motivate the features we put into those tools and products to individual use cases. And we've identified four sort of major use case themes that we want to talk to you about here. Obviously, lots of the customers that we meet and interact with and who are interested in EDB are interested in moving to Postgres. Many of those are interested in moving from Oracle, but that's not the only place they move from. So we're very interested in doing things that make it easier to adopt Postgres. And obviously, lots of people are doing that. But we want to make it so that you can adopt Postgres more quickly and more seamlessly all the time. Once people move to Postgres, they're obviously interested in building new applications. So we've got a set of capabilities and a set of investments around making it easier to do application building. We then want you to be able to deploy. Obviously, you need to be able to take those databases and applications you've built, deploy those flexibly in whatever kind of environment that you want or need. And then finally, one of the big things that EDB does is supplement the capabilities of Postgres itself with additional stuff that makes it easier to operate at scale. Those are, features like monitoring, management, and security, all the kind of things that an enterprise that's looking to run a mission-critical application would be interested in and would need to operate Postgres reliably at scale in a mission-critical way in the enterprise. So we're going to walk through each of these and try to provide some of that connectivity. Before we do that, though, I thought we'd just take a moment to orient you to what the software support and design and build services are that EDB offers. So we've got at the top of this slide a set of different software offerings that includes Postgres itself, the standard community distribution. We've got EDB's advanced server, which adds additional capabilities to Postgres. Those are things like compatibility with Oracle. Those are things like additional security and monitoring and management. And we've also got EDB Replicate, which is our new technology for multi-master replication in the enterprise, Kafka-based, highly scalable, highly flexible. Then we've got a large set of software tools that go along with that, and you can see a lot of them listed at the bottom of the slide, but they're things like enterprise management, backup and recovery, failover management, containers, and so forth. We have a variety of additional support offerings, allowing you to support the community edition of Postgres, or to have proactive DBA service either in the cloud or in your own data center. And then, of course, we also provide the ability to have a technical account manager who can bring an integrated set of services for the larger enterprise. And, of course, we have services to go along with all this. So those services cover the customer journey, right? The developer journey, from getting started to optimizing Postgres to building a strategy for Postgres in the enterprise, and then ultimately including things like implementation and training services. So a comprehensive set of services and capabilities for the enterprise. And those are the things that go into fulfilling these use cases that we're going to talk about. So with that, we're going to talk about some use case roadmaps, and I'll hand it back to Mr. Dalton.
All right. Thank you, John. So in making it easier to move to Postgres, we'll talk about a roadmap in terms of what's coming up in the next, say, 90 days, and then beyond that would be the future. And one of the things that we talk about is making it much easier, much faster to convert over from Oracle. So supporting more capability in that area with our migration portal, and then also making that migration portal that's available online available to our customers who operate in secure environments where they can't access the online portal over the internet. So that's a nice enhancement in support of our customers looking to move from Oracle. And then also part of that user journey, now that you've gone through the conversion of your schema from Oracle to Postgres, make it easier for that path to get to an operating instance with that schema loaded in Advanced Server. So that's what's coming up soon. And then as we think longer term, beyond the next 90 days, we're also looking to extend that path to Advanced Server to have a migration path to the IBM Cloud. And also we'll be supporting additional cloud vendors after that as well. And then we'll be enhancing our capabilities for our data migration tool to make it operate even faster, to handle larger data sets. And then we're, as part of this broader use of the migration portal, make data migration also part of that, so that it becomes more of a full-fledged capability to start with schema and data and just end up with an operating system at the end. And then we'll, beyond, as John was saying earlier, Oracle isn't the only source that we want to be able to help people move quickly to Postgres, so we'll be looking at additional database technologies to support there as well. With that, I will go to the next use case, which is around building new applications. So once you've moved over to Postgres, you want to build new applications. So some of the things we're doing soon are to make the installation of the software a lot simpler, so developers can get going more quickly. And then we're also looking at restructuring our documentation to focus on the activities and tasks that developers want to target and do. So really taking a page from folks like Swagger and provide that kind of documentation that developers are really familiar with. And then the big piece of technology that I think developers will be really excited about is the new command line interface app that we're building that'll become initially available with EDB Replicate that will help do further automation and integration with the EDB Postgres. And this command line interface would be very familiar to folks who are working with Docker or Git or AWS today. So it's adopting that model interface. So it's a really exciting direction that we're heading in. And then over time, this CLI will become available for all of the tools. And beyond the CLI will be a unified API behind that unified CLI. So it's really exciting in terms of making the products much easier to work with. And then we're also looking to enhance the performance of our foreign data wrappers so that working with different technologies and with other database technologies and Postgres will become much easier to do. Okay, with that, I'm going to hand it back to Mr. Murphy.
Thanks, John. So having built those applications, obviously the next task is to be able to deploy those. A big part of the value proposition that we're looking to provide here is flexibility. We don't want to create obstacles to flexible deployment, whether those would be obstacles in terms of license models or in terms of technology. We want to make this as seamless and as flexible as possible. A big part of our strategy for doing that is with our EDB Postgres on Kubernetes operator. We're investing a lot actually in modernizing the architecture of that operator and refactoring it. We want that to be absolutely class leading, and that will provide a lot of the infrastructure to have EDB be available as a fully managed DBaaS on the IBM cloud. So we're working closely with IBM, and there's a launch of EDB Enterprise Edition on the IBM cloud. So you'll be able to consume it as a fully managed service in that context. But if that's not the context you want it in, you'll have lots of other options, right? We've got customers running in all of the major public cloud providers today, and the Kubernetes support will make it possible to do that in a much more flexible and scalable way. So as we continue to invest in that, things like failover management will continue to be enhanced and improved. Load balancing will continue to be enhanced and improved. And we will also do deeper integration with other cloud vendors. So big area of investment for us around deployment flexibility with not exclusive focus on Kubernetes, but certainly a very substantial focus on Kubernetes as a way to do that. And as Kubernetes gets larger and larger market adoption, we're certainly responding. As far as operating at scale, we've made a number of enhancements that make that easier and more readily accessible to a larger set of use cases. That includes making data more easily available in a geo-distributed way, putting out reference architectures. Reference architectures, by the way, is something we've had a lot of customer requests for, and we're responding to that. A lot of folks are interested in leveraging the expertise that we've got inside EDB to understand what the best practices are for deploying Postgres at scale in a reliable, scalable way. So we're going to publish more and more reference architectures going forward. We're also going to publish expanded guidance for the Thales Verimetric transparent encryption capability that we've partnered with those guys on. So we're excited about that. That's an important capability. Again, the kind of enterprise capability that we think very nicely complements the strengths of Postgres coming out of the community as a very strong and capable database, but gives us the ability to add value to that and make it useful in a larger set of use cases for the bigger enterprise. Going forward, even more reference architectures, things like multi-master replication, large workloads, DevOps integration. DevOps integration is another area where we get frequent requests that we're responding to. And of course, best practices for highly scaled workloads. And we're also doing a number of things around auditing enhancements. So a continued focus around operating at scale, and continued focus on bridging between the core strengths of Postgres and the extra consumable features that make Postgres usable in those large mission-critical applications. So with that, we also want to make sure that we present the roadmap to you in a more tool and product-oriented view. And we're going to switch to that view right now to complement the use cases. And I'll hand it back to John.
Okay, great. Thanks, John. Yeah, so from taking a software or product perspective versus use case perspective, one of the things that we're really excited about is an investment we've been making in replication. The product we're calling EDB Replicate will be available in the next quarter. And we're talking about having a fault-tolerant, highly scalable data replication, multi-master replication product for Postgres. And some of the key things we're talking about in the initial launch here is focus on a couple of use cases for write availability and data availability. So if you have applications that are globally distributed, you operate in multiple regions, you'd probably be interested in the geo-distributed data availability capability. If you're in a sort of a financial sector where write availability is critical to your enterprise applications, multi-master replication in region enables that high availability for the database to be available for writes from a database. So real critical capabilities for those top tier applications. And then the key thing that we're doing in this new product is building the architecture on a distributed architecture, and in particular with Kafka, which allows us to scale the replication infrastructure completely separately from the database, allows us to match workloads to the replication volume, and it's really exciting in terms of building on a well-known open source capability like Kafka. And finally, we've designed for a very secure heterogeneous logical replication use case. So this allows us to support a much broader set of use cases as we evolve in the future, which means that we can evolve with your infrastructure and support more and more of your replication needs. And if we look quickly at the roadmap, we talked earlier about the new CLI that provides a guided user experience. We talked a little bit about the use cases. And importantly, we handle the conflict handling at the row level for data consistency. So for those insert, update, and delete conflicts that might happen, they're all handled. And then, interestingly, a lot of people are faced with the choice of, do I use logical replication or physical replication? And we're excited to have capability with Advanced Server and our failover manager to allow for interoperability such that you can have deployments with both active. So that's a very exciting capability to be part of this product. And then we've also been looking forward. One of the key things that we've heard from a lot of customers is they're operating their own Kafka infrastructures to connect their enterprise workflows and processes, and would like to have Postgres be part of that infrastructure. So we will be looking to leverage the customer's infrastructure in an upcoming release. Also, we'll be providing ability to design replication networks through a user interface and be able to manage those. So a very exciting capability there. And as Many enterprises have a lot of different technologies in their infrastructure, Oracle being a key one. We will be supporting Oracle as a data source for replication. And getting beyond just the row level conflict handling, we'll be enhancing the product to support column level conflict handling so that for other types of application design patterns. And then, as we've been talking about, being much more flexible for cloud deployments, we'll be providing containers for Kubernetes-based deployments as well. All right. Now I think we will hand it back to John.
Thank you. All right, so we're going to talk some more about EDB Postgres on Kubernetes. Obviously, as I mentioned earlier, a big focus area for us. We want to use this as a mechanism to allow management of Postgres at scale. Again, to facilitate flexible deployments, public, private, hybrid clouds, and also as a way of automating. That obviously has a number of different aspects to it. We're focused partly on just the container orchestration mechanisms that you get from being in this kind of container architecture, but we're also focused on the ability to be a good citizen in a larger tech environment and provide mechanisms to integrate with a DevOps pipeline, with testing infrastructure, and with other deployment infrastructures to make sure that you're not having to do things differently for Postgres. You can take Postgres and have it play really well in the rest of your automation suite that you're using to deploy enterprise workloads, again, for those mission critical applications. So this is a big investment area for us. More specifically, we're going to get a Red Hat certification of our operator coming up just very shortly. We're investing in cluster management, obviously, as you'd expect, horizontal and vertical scaling, runtime monitoring capabilities to complement the capabilities that EDB already offers in this area. Of course, backup and restore, and again, asynchronous replication. So all of the capabilities you'd expect, but leveraging the overall Kubernetes environment and taking advantage of the fact that we're now seeing that, this kind of stateful workload and getting deployed in this environment in a way that it wasn't until relatively recently. Looking forward, we're certainly going to expand platform support. We want our container offering to be available on all of the major platforms. So that's a big focus area. We'll be making it available in IBM Cloud Pak for Data. We'll be enhancing a bunch of the other enterprise capability sort of features. So we'll be enhancing the backup and restore, the encryption capabilities, and we'll be enhancing the integration between our offering and, again, those underlying deployment targets. So those are things like security integration, storage integration, all that sort of thing. So big focus on Kubernetes going forward as an enabler, though I should say that this doesn't mean we aren't also investing in traditional install deployment methods. If you're a customer who's with us today and using VMs or installs of other flavors, the big investment in Kubernetes doesn't mean we don't care about you at all. We very much do, but we do think this is a big part of the future and is getting a lot of momentum in the marketplace. And the investment we're making here is definitely in response to what we're hearing from USR customers. John is going to talk about the core server.
All right. One last thing before we wrap up. So let's talk about our advanced server and the tools, database. Again, we've been part of the PostgreSQL community for the last 16 years. So we are part of Postgres, not just on the side of it. We are a key piece of it. And we've been working with you, our enterprise customers, to make Postgres that much better. We'll continue to make investments to make it easier to be more compatible with Oracle, so you can move more quickly to Postgres. And we'll be adding more of the capabilities that enterprises need in terms of deployment, monitoring, management. As John was saying, improved installation capabilities, deployment capabilities. So all of the things that you need to run your mission-critical enterprise applications. So in terms of looking at the roadmap, when we look at what's coming up, we're looking at pretty soon we'll have version 13 coming out the door. And yes, we continue to make improvements in our Oracle compatibility. Also in this release, there's been a number of performance and functional enhancements. There's a whole lot of them. A couple that are worth I can mention off the top are some additional enhancements around automatic partitioning. Also being able to create tables and indexes in parallel. And then also from a functional perspective, having logical decoding of in-progress transactions. So if there's long-running transactions that need to support for replication, those will now be running a lot faster in terms of getting data communicated across the replication network. As we mentioned earlier, we've got a partnership with Tali's group with the Formetric transparent encryption, providing a much bigger solution for enterprise. Part of a bigger solution for enterprises to manage data at rest, and will be coming compliant with the web accessibility guidelines at the AA 2.0 level. So that's another exciting piece for enterprises who need to support that level of compliance. And then as we look out further down the road, we'll be making further improvements to backup and restore capabilities, both at the server level and the tooling level. And then, of course, adding more around security and auditing to understand who's been doing what in the database. So there's a bunch of enhancements in that space. And then along the lines of improving performance, we'll be introducing parallelization into some of the core capabilities, from making data loads run quicker. Oftentimes this is called the copy part of the core database server. So those functions moving data around are going to be taking advantage of parallel capabilities. And then in addition, there's some other capabilities that we'll be building between the failover manager and the database server itself to provide improved failover capabilities by putting the entire database system into a read-only state as part of the orchestration of promoting a standby to a master, making sure we don't, adding further capabilities to make sure that we don't introduce a split brain situation. And then, of course, all of our tools will be adopting the unified command line interface. So that's another important piece of what we're doing in the tooling. And I think with that, we're probably ready for some questions. I want to thank everyone. John,
thank you all. Yeah, thank you all for your attention here, and we're happy to take any questions you have through the system.
Hi there.
John Dalton.
Hi there, I'm John Dalton. Glad to be with you guys today. John Murphy had to leave, so he sends his apologies, but we can answer some questions now. So Bhavani, what do we want to start with?
Well, we've got well over 300 people, and there's a huge number of questions being asked. So let's start off with a question from both Vibor and from, I believe, Thomas. They're asking about the status of the zHeap project.
Oh yes, we've been talking about zHeap in the past. Unfortunately, right now the project is on hold, and as we hear more from customers interested in it, we may reconsider moving forward with it. But that right now it's on hold.
Great. After that, we've got two questions regarding EDB Replicate. One of the questions asks about where can I get more drill down on EDB Replicate, and the second question is from Sandeep related to EDB Replicate, which is what versions of EDB Server support multi-master replication?
Okay, so maybe the short answer is, if you want to learn a lot more about EDB Replicate, there's a session at the end of the day that I'm running on Replicate itself, so we'll go into a lot more detail on it. In terms of, I'm sorry, what version of EDB Server is supporting multi-master replication? So multi-master replication is supported by the this new EDB Replicate product. It is a server that runs separately from the database server itself. So it's a new capability that works with Postgres.
Yeah, and I think the question is what version of EDB Server, which I think he is implying which version of EPAS or the advanced server will it work with?
So when we release EDB Replicate, it will be supporting versions 9.6 and above of both Advanced Server and PostgreSQL.
And another related question on the same product line, which is, will you be able to support insert conflict resolution?
Today, yeah. So out of the one of the things we did mention in the slides was that insert, update, and delete conflicts are handled and update at the row level initially. Later on, we will be supporting more capabilities around the column level update conflicts that might occur. So again, if you want to learn more, please come to my session later. So let's.
Okay, let's change the topic. Anton is now asking, how are you considering adding a foreign data wrapper for Ingress 9.2 and higher?
That's an interesting question. I haven't really heard a lot of demand for that. Again, if we've got demand for that, we would certainly look into it. But at the moment, we don't have any plans for creating a foreign data wrapper for those products.
And then I've got a question that I can answer, which is Patrick is asking, can the slides for this seminar or session be available in the handouts? I'm actively working right now with our own people to add them to this seminar, so that immediately after this is over, hopefully we'll have them posted. But the balance of them will be available in the handouts. And
Okay.
then Sushant is asking the next question is there a plan on introducing sharding?
So sharding is something that I think when we look across the community, I see a number of activities happening there. A really good discussion on sharding can be found in Bruce Momjian has done a pretty good description of the roadmap for Postgres as a community in terms of where things are going for sharding. We want to be supportive of that and help that move forward. But in terms of a specific sharding capability that we have plans today at EDB, we don't have anything specific in that regard. So it's more of a, how do we best support the community to move that forward?
Okay, thank you. Then Naresh is asking a question regarding new technologies. As part of your vertical scaling strategy, are you considering supporting newer technologies like storage class memory, specifically Intel Optane?
Intel Optane is very interesting as a new technology for sure. I guess the short answer is memory. The database core needs to be agnostic, I guess is the best way to think of the underlying architecture, but also the other thing is looking forward in terms of architectures that are evolving in the marketplace around cloud native capabilities and things like that. There's some need to look at how to support other in-memory in-memory access and memory things like that. But I'm not aware of any projects underway right now that are looking to take advantage of that. I think if we had something in that space, we probably would have talked about it in one of Robert's, either Robert's session yesterday or Rushab and Mark's session on Advanced Server. But I don't think we have any plans in that area today.
Okay, sounds good. Unfortunately, we have so many questions, and we are way past the time allotted.
Okay.
We're 5 minutes past. So we love the discussion. We can go ahead and send in questions, and we'll do our best to try to answer them afterward. We'll get a list of all the questions. But I'd like to say thank you for joining us today, and please continue to enjoy the balance of Postgres Vision, and have a great day.
Yeah, thanks everybody for joining. See you later.